All right, let's dive into this incredible story. It's a mix of high-stakes political drama, deep, unwavering belief, and a king who gets trapped by his very own law.
This whole account really makes you think, doesn't it? It puts one man's conviction to the ultimate test. It's a story that's been told for thousands of years, and it kind of forces you to ask yourself some pretty tough questions about your own principles.
So, let's set the scene. We're in the massive Medo-Persian Empire around 539 BC. They've just conquered Babylon, which was a huge deal. So you've got this major power shift happening. New rulers, new laws, the whole shebang.
And right in the middle of all this upheaval is our main character, Daniel. Now, he's a Judean exile, but he's also a seasoned pro in government. He's been serving at the highest levels for decades, first in Babylon and now here.
And get this, at this point in the story, Daniel's about 80 years old, but he is so sharp, so full of integrity, that the new king, Darius, trusts him completely. In fact, the source material says the king was planning to put him in charge of the entire kingdom.
But you know how it goes. When someone is that successful, that good at their job, it doesn't always sit well with everyone. The source calls it his extraordinary spirit, and it bred some serious jealousy among the other officials. It's a dynamic we see all the time, right?
Now this is where the setup gets really fascinating. His rivals are digging for dirt, any little thing they can use to get rid of him. But they can't find anything. No corruption, no mistakes, his professional record is spotless. So they pivot. It's a classic political playbook. If you can't attack the work, you attack the person.
So they cook up this, truly brilliant and devious plan. They know the one thing Daniel will never, ever compromise on is his daily prayer. So they use his own faithfulness as the bait. They flatter the king, convince him to pass a law making Daniel's personal devotion a crime punishable by death.
So Daniel hears about this new law. He knows exactly what it means, and he knows it's aimed squarely at him. So what does he do? Does he hide? Nope. He goes home, throws open his windows so everyone can see, and he prays, just like he did every single day.
And of course, that's exactly what the plotters were waiting for. They catch him red-handed and run straight to the king. But when the king hears, the source says he's very displeased. The light bulb goes off and he realizes he's been played. He's been tricked into trapping his best guy. To his credit, the king spends the entire day scrambling, trying to find some legal loophole to get Daniel out of this mess. But he's caught in his own web. The law was irrevocable. It was a law of the Medes and Persians, which meant not even the king could change it. He was bound by his own signature.
So with a heavy heart and no other options, King Darius gives the order. As they're taking Daniel away, the king basically says his only hope is that the God Daniel has been so faithful to will step in and perform a miracle.
And just like that, the sentence is carried out. Daniel is thrown into a pit filled with hungry lions, and a massive stone is rolled over the entrance, sealing him inside.
And to make it absolutely final, the king seals the stone with his own royal signet ring, and also with the rings of his nobles. This made it official. No one could attempt a rescue. In their minds, this was a done deal.
You can just imagine the king that night. The text says he was totally agonizing over it. He couldn't sleep, he refused to eat, he wouldn't allow any entertainment. He was just completely tormented by his part in this whole affair.
So, the second the sun starts to rise, the king is up and rushing back to the lion's den. He's anxious, probably fearing the worst, but maybe, just maybe, holding on to a tiny sliver of hope. When he gets there, he cries out, and you can just hear the anguish in his voice. Notice he doesn't just ask, "Daniel, are you alive?" He asks if Daniel's God was powerful enough to save him. The real question is about whose power is greater.
And then, out of the darkness, a voice answers. It's Daniel, and he's totally fine. He calmly explains, "My God sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths." And then he makes this really important point. He says he was found innocent, not just before God, but also in his service to the king.
So you see, Daniel surviving wasn't just a personal win. It was a massive public statement, a total vindication of his character and his faith. The king is absolutely overjoyed. He orders Daniel to be brought up immediately. And then he turns his attention to the conspirators in a moment of swift, brutal, poetic justice. The accusers and their families are thrown into the very den they'd set for Daniel. The source is pretty graphic here. It says the lions overpowered them before they even hit the floor.
Okay, so after all that drama, what's the big takeaway here? According to the source material, the whole story is a powerful lesson in faithfulness.
The story is held up as a perfect example of faith. You see, faith is described as this trust in a reality you can't see yet. Daniel acted on his conviction in his God, even when all the visible evidence screamed that he was walking into certain death.
Daniel's deliverance is also used as a clear demonstration of omnipotence. It's really just a word for God being all-powerful. The idea that God has absolute authority over the natural world and can intervene in ways that defy all our normal expectations.
So, at the end of the day, this explainer of the source material isn't just about telling a cool, ancient story. It's about connecting that account to a challenge that's absolutely timeless. How do you live by your principles when the world around you is hostile to them?
And that's really the question that this story leaves hanging in the air for all of us. Our lions' dens might look different today for sure, but the challenge is the same. It makes you think. What are the fears that keep us from acting boldly on what we say we believe?